Market snaps a 4-day losing streak. The Nifty and the sensex end 0.5% higher. The Nifty reclaims 25,200. Broader markets outperform. The mid-cap index soars 1%.
HCL Tech falls after it downgrades its margin guidance for FY26. JP Morgan downgrades the firm to neutral. Tata Tech gains after positive management commentary. Says that it's confident that Q2 would be better than Q1 and a strong second half.
Tesla drives into India. Showroom is now open in Mumbai. The Model Y will be available at a starting price of 60 lakh rupees. Separately, Hero Motocorp soared in trade after the company expects FY26 to be a year of acceleration. They plan to expand presence in the EV and premium segment and strengthen the 3V portfolio.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear you up for the next trading day. I'm Ekta Batra and with me is my colleague Reema Tendulkar. Hi Reema. Well, turned out to be a session where we held on to gains and the broader markets outperformed.
Oh, indeed. All in all, not a bad session. And considering for the last 4 trading sessions, markets were trending down, we snapped a 4-day losing streak. By the close of trade, the Nifty and the sensex up nearly about 0.5%. The Nifty closing shy of that 25,200 mark. Only thing is technically the intraday high was very close to the 20-day moving average, which means that at least for now in today's trading session, we faced a bit of resistance around the 20-day moving average, which is that 25,270 odd mark. Mid-caps did very well. The mid-cap index up 1%. Small-cap index outperformed. A positive advance decline ratio. More than 2 stocks advancing for one in the red. Sectorally, auto was the top gainer. Pharma was higher in trade. And even IT, where you had a big HCL Tech underperforming, despite that the rest of the IT stocks actually managed a positive green take. So that is a good signaling, price action at least for IT.
Well, yes, absolutely. The markets did drive ahead because it seems as though the auto stocks were in top gear in today's trading session. So the Nifty Auto Index went home with gains of around 1.5%. We had the Nifty Pharma Index, which did well as well. So up around 1% for the Nifty Pharma Index. And the broader markets really stood strong as compared to the Nifty. So we had the mid-caps, which were up around 1% and the BSE Small Cap Index, which was up around 1% in today's trading session as well. So all in all, good day of trade. Let's see whether this sustains or not for the rest of the week. We do have a lot of earnings coming up. But let's also tell you what we have lined up for you in today's show. We start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Vivek. HCL Tech and Tata Technologies were buzzing in the IT space, while Hero Motors surged in trade after the company shared its bullish outlook for FY26. In the pharma sector, Sun Pharma led the rally, gaining momentum following the announcement of its launch of its speciality product leqselvi in the US markets. But on to our first segment of the day. Vivek now joins in from the wall with the top movers and shakers.
Well, thank you so much for that. Another session where I actually saw the advance decline ratio continue to remain quite strong throughout the trading session. Whole host of gainers today, but one particular stock that really stood out was actually Hero Motocorp. Now, this particular stock, the annual report came, the commentary over there was very, very positive. The stock ended up by almost 5%. The other stock on the radar was Sterlite Technologies. Amongst the broader end of the market, this particular stock actually was perched at the upper circuit level, very strong volumes. So Sterlite Technologies is one particular stock. Today, it saw a strong up move. Tata Technologies, company came out with the results post-market hours yesterday. While it was a muted Q1, a better sequentially, a better Q2 and a strong H2 is what the company guided for. Street actually rewarded the stock on the back of that particular commentary that came in. Also keep an eye out for some of the fertilizer stocks today. Fact, one stock almost 7.5% higher, the top gainer as far as the mid-cap index was concerned. But quite a lot of losers as well in today's trading session. First on the list has to be HCL Tech, a muted Q1. Along with that, the margin guidance reduction was something that the street didn't like. Stock ended lower by almost 3%. Tejas Network, again, off a very strong base. The results were quite weak. Stock almost 6% lower. IDFC First Bank, now this particular stock in the mid of the trading session and for the last 2 to 3 trading sessions has been under significant pressure. This particular stock today over 1.5% lower. GM Breweries, midday the results did come about. Slightly muted quarter, almost 4% downtick over there. And Inox Wind, remember today was the day in which you actually saw the shares of the parent company come onto the demat accounts. that led to some selling pressure, but keep an eye out on this particular stock, given the fact that on July 17th, there will be a fundraise announcement as well. But today, under significant pressure, almost 6.5% lower for Inox Wind.
Thank you very much for that. Jay Bala of cashthechaos.com and Sudip Bandyopadhyay, Group Chairman and Inditrade Capital, now with us on the show. Sudip, any of the stocks that Vivek was talking about that you'd like to comment on?
Well, Hero Motocorp is definitely something worth commenting on. A couple of things are happening, and the annual report for the last year came out. So one is definitely there is an upswing in rural demand. Expectation are that post good monsoon, the demand will be even stronger. And of course, Hero Motocorp have a very strong hold in rural India. So they definitely can expect good set of numbers, good volume going forward in the next forthcoming few quarters. The second point which came out from that annual report is the focus on export, which the company is talking about. They're talking about many other things which are also interesting, including the EV, three-wheeler, and a whole lot of other things. But I like the export thrust which they're talking about, because I think that's one area where they are kind of behind Bajaj and TVS. So, if they can put a thrust on exports, I think that should do wonders for the overall revenue numbers as well as the margin. So undoubtedly, Hero Motocorp is definitely worth talking about, and market, of course, rewarded it today. HCL Tech, of course, it was definitely a disappointment, and market also punished it. I think the margin erosion is something which we'll have to watch for the entire IT industry. The AI-led the delivery is probably leading to competitive scenario getting hotter and reduction in margins across the board. This is one trend which we'll have to watch out for going forward.
In fact, Sudip, that is the view echoed by some of the brokerages on HCL Tech. Just quickly, for those of you who missed, now HCL Tech Q1 numbers disappointed the street. In the case of TCS, it was the revenue miss because revenues fell by more than 3% on a sequential basis. But in the case of HCL Tech, the problem was margins, because margins declined sharply, 160 basis points to 16.3%. The company said this was an account of lower utilization. So basically, they staffed people, saying that on the hope that the project will ramp up. The project ramp up didn't take place on account of the macro uncertainty, and therefore they were left with a lot of bench strength. Then there were other issues like one client bankruptcy. There were investments that the company made in generative AI, go-to-market, sales, etc. Therefore, consequently, put all of it together and the restructuring exercise that the company plans to do, the margin guidance was lowered by 100 basis points. Now, JP Morgan downgraded the stock, and they're saying AI deflation is playing out through margin erosion. And Ambit says that the first casualty was growth. We saw that play out. But the next casualty for the sector could be on margins. But on the flip side, Tata Tech's price action was interesting because Q1 numbers were a miss, weak set of numbers, muted, but the management commentary is fairly upbeat. They're saying that FY26 will be a growth year. They're very confident it will not degrow. And this is contrary to analyst expectations. So a couple of analysts are anticipating about a minus 5% revenue contraction for Tata Tech in FY26, but the management completely shrugged off that fear. They also said that margins will improve. 16.1% were the margins in Q1, but they will slowly trend towards 18%, and the North Star in margins remain 20%. So Tata Tech, on the back of the management commentary, painting a rosier picture, from here on, stock closed out with a gain of 2%, while HCL Tech was weak. Sudip, will come to you on HCL Tech, but let me just get Jay's view on HCL Tech and Tata Tech in particular, and a broader IT call. Jay.
Yeah, on the frontline IT names, I'm very cautious. I don't think there's a turnaround. I think if you go to be in the frontline IT name, Infosys is the strongest. HCL Tech, Wipro, TCS, all of them are not that encouraging on the charts. But Infosys is, I would say avoid frontline IT as long as the Nifty IT index is below 40,000. But when it comes to Tata Technologies, I pointed out a couple of months ago that, I've been tracking Tata Technologies from its IPO listing. The bottom at 539 or 570 odds, there has a reasonable possibility of being an important low. So, and the recent pullback for Tata Technologies from the April low of 500 odds to the recent high of about, I think about 800, and the current pullback looking quite bullish. This can be a low allocation investment call on Tata Technologies, there's a reasonable possibility it can go back to the listing price.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on to the big story then. Tesla has officially made its foray into India by opening its first store in Mumbai. In coming days, the EV maker will be opening its next store in Delhi as well. The Mumbai showroom was unveiled in the presence of Maharashtra CM Devendra Fadnavis, who said he hopes that Tesla will set up an R&D center and manufacturing unit in India when the time is right for the company. The EV maker has now listed its electric SUV, the Model Y, on its India-dedicated webpage, starting at a price of 59.89 lakh rupees. While the booking has opened, delivery will commence in the third quarter of calendar year 2025. Moreover, the Model Y long-range RWD will be hitting the Indian roads in the fourth quarter. All right. Well, Sudip, any view in terms of a couple of the other auto stocks? I know you mentioned Hero Moto, but overall, how would you do you think that Tesla entering would probably be a threat to the likes of M&M?
I really don't think so. In fact, this happened when Tesla first was announced entry into India. Mahindra M&M stock got beaten down, but I think that's little premature and unwarranted. Mahindra has a strong business. The momentum for all the segments of M&M's business is very, very strong. Look at tractors. I think there is still scope for improvement, but the numbers are good. And with good monsoon, they will improve even further. SUV, they are definitely kind of leading the charge, and they're doing much better than most other players. As far as their EV is concerned, I think they are also galloping ahead. They have the distinct advantage of pricing, and India is a price-conscious market. So I really don't see how M&M will be impacted, adversely by Tesla. Tesla will be a niche product, and even in US, to an extent, it's a niche product, which is their home market, you can say. In China, they are competing with multiple other Chinese players, and they are not in a leadership position or anything like that. And India, definitely being a price-conscious market, they won't have significant impact on the established large automobile domestic players like M&M or even Maruti, or for that matter, even Tata Motors.
I think even the price is more expensive than a BYD. It's, most closest direct competitor, it's more expensive by about 10 lakh. But let's talk about Hero Motocorp, because that was the big gainer, top gainer, in fact, on the Nifty. The annual report says that the company expects FY26 to be a year of acceleration. They plan to expand their presence across the EV and the premium segment. They're looking to grow their presence in Europe too. So setting foot there. Sudarshan is now joining in with the details.
So amid all the buzz around Tesla today, one sector that has outperformed was the auto sector, and the stock that has outperformed all these stocks was Hero Motocorp, which was top Nifty gainer, closing with a gain of almost 5%. And it's on the back of the details that company has put out in its annual report for FY25, where its executive chairman Pawan Munjal has termed FY26 as the year of acceleration, and also he has mentioned few strategic points. In that first one is global expansion. Second is unlocking new value in the core segment. Third, focus on premiumization. And fourth, expanding footprint in electric mobility. So first, talking about global expansion, in FY25, company has recorded growth of 43% in international segment, mainly coming from two markets, and those markets are South Asia and Latin America. Now in FY26, company is planning to expand global presence and looking to enter countries like Spain, Germany, France and the UK, and that would happen by the end of Q2 FY26. Now the second point is about premiumization. So currently company has a partnership with Harley Davidson, and now it's looking to expand the partnership and also launch a new platform, and through which looking to increase growth. Third point, and the most important point, is retail market. Company believes that it continues to gain market share, and especially in the segment where it's a market leader, that is 100cc and 125cc, and believes that going forward in remaining part of the calendar year and in FY26, that pace of gaining market share will continue. And one thing that all the other auto companies had raised concern was about retail financing penetration. But after Q4 of FY25, Hero Motocorp had announced that its penetration remains healthy, and even now also it remains steady at 65%. So on the back of the mainly strategy that company has laid out for FY26, we have seen a big move.
Sudip, you were earlier telling us about M&M and how you like that, and there is a positive uptick that you... Jay, you were telling us about M&M earlier in this show. What about Hero Motocorp?
Hero Motocorp mirrors the price structure of the Nifty Auto Index. So if Nifty Auto Index is, if Hero Moto is breaking out, and Nifty Auto Index is very close to breaking out. Now, I've been bullish on the auto sector since May, and this is a positive sign for the overall sector and even the overall market. If the Nifty Auto Index were to cross 24,200, that will be a big positive for the overall direction of the market. And although Nifty is lagging behind, the Nifty Small Cap Index, Nifty Micro Cap Index, they're all they all crossed June highs. So I think the auto index will do that, and that will spread into the overall market, and Nifty will probably take out the June highs too.
Okay, all right. So that's on the entire auto space. But Sun Pharma was in focus in today's trading session. They've announced the launch of their speciality product, leqselvi, in the US. They've announced the launch after a settlement of a patent dispute around the same. And it is basically used for alopecia. Sun will be paying to Insight, which is a pharma company, an upfront amount plus some royalty payments until the expiry of the payments in exchange for a license to the patents under question with regards to this particular drug. Now, analysts say that it could be around a $300 million product for Sun Pharma over 3 to 5 years from the launch, and it could scale up to be one of the second largest for them in their specialty business. Morgan Stanley maintains an overweight stance and a target price of 1960 odd rupees. According to them, the launch was ahead of expectations. It was expected in the second half of FY26, and the launch as well as an early settlement are positive developments for Sun. They're projecting $61 million in terms of sales in FY26 and $83 million in FY27. Jay, do you have a view on Sun Pharma technically?
Sun Pharma is a laggard, but the overall pharma sector had a breakout in June itself, and the pullback was a bad trap. And I'm sure the pharma sector is likely to clock all-time highs past the 2024 highs. I'm anticipating pharma sector to touch about 24,000. The star has been Glenmark and followed by Divi's. So I'm sure the rest of the pharma sector will catch up and Sun will not be left behind. But at the moment, it's a laggard. Not a great price structure out there, but I'm anticipating some pop up to come for Sun Pharma. But keep a close eye on IOL chemicals and pharmaceuticals. That's also likely to be a smart play from there on.
Okay. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave the conversation here for now. Thank you very much for joining in. The big story of the day was RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra, who said the outlook on inflation is more important than the current numbers. Forward-looking. This statement comes at a time when India's retail inflation, the CPI, cooled to a 6.5-year low, with economists indicating that inflation will remain below the 3% mark for most of 2025. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV18, RBI Governor further goes on to say price stability is our regulator's core mandate and their primary objective. Commenting on rate cut, he says a neutral stance doesn't mean that RBI can't cut rates. Here's a slice of that conversation.
What is the trigger for a rate cut? Will it be more lower inflation or will it be lower growth?
It's a mix of the two. It's a mix of the two, really. One can't really say that it is inflation which is more important than growth numbers. For us, as you are aware, it is primarily we look at price stability. That is our core mandate. That is the primary objective. And then we look at growth also. Both are equally important, and I would not say that we would give more emphasis as of now to either numbers. We also need to be aware of the composition of the inflation, and especially when I say composition, I mean the momentum and the base effect. Of course, core and food is another way of looking at it. But how is this inflation going to look forward in future? That will be more important rather than the 2.1% or the current inflation that we have.
Inflation is likely to be around 3%. That is well below 4% for practically all of 2025 calendar. And that makes it 2.5 percentage points, 250 percentage point real rate. For a good like 9 months, from March, it is at 3% and it will be that way all the way till December. More importantly, sir, now the WPI has come in negative. So, that also impacts manufacturers, that level of deflation. So I'm asking, when you say neutral, is it one third hike, pause, cut, or will the percentage of cut be a little more, given the kind of deflation number we are getting in WPI and
no, see, firstly, let me say that monetary policy, as I've mentioning, it is forward-looking. At the point of time when the MPC met last in June, the inflation numbers, even though at that point of time were about 3% or so, right? But forward-looking was 3.7%. So even if you want to give, weightage, again, going back to your question of this real rate of interest or neutral rate of interest, even if you were to give importance to that, which I'm not saying is not relevant at all, of course it is relevant. The difference was about 1.9, it's less than 2%, it's very much, within the band. And neutral, as I've already mentioned, it doesn't mean that we can't, move up, move down. We can certainly, move down. But for that, yes, the outlook has to change. Whether it will go down to 3%, I don't know. We will let you know.
The average of the street is 3.3 now for the full year, FY26.
Yeah, so we'll be coming out with our numbers. You're right, there is an expectation, correctly so, that the inflation will be perhaps, for this year, not 3.7%, but lower than that. That's certainly on the cards. And if that happens, the monetary policy will have a look at it and take a call. I don't want to preempt, what the MPC is going to do, but I'm only emphasizing that we will continue to look, we'll continue to be data dependent and continue to look at the incoming data, and especially, the outlook, and the situation so warrants, we can move either ways, which can, even be
okay, and don't miss the interview with the RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra at 9:30 p.m. today. With this, we head into a short break. We'll get you the top corporate voices along with key market events to watch out for on the other side.
Welcome back. You're watching Markets Forward, and now let's get the key corporate voices that we had through the day. Shares of Ola Electric were in focus after the company's losses narrowed in the first quarter of this fiscal. Speaking to CNBC TV18, the company chairman, managing director Bhavish Agarwal said the company was looking into issues being faced in Maharashtra and added that the management is engaging with authorities. He also clarified that the company has not heard anything from the Maharashtra government pertaining to stores being shut down. He also clarified that the second quarter sales have not been impacted by the ongoing regulatory issues in Maharashtra. Looking ahead, the auto segment is projected to generate positive operating cash flow by the end of this fiscal year.
Next up is Tejas Network. The management says FY26 expectations had to be moderated as against a strong base of FY25. It adds its growing business in a way that they are not overly dependent on BSNL. It expects receivables to come down within this financial year. As it has hit milestones on BSNL, it has been investing to expand the product portfolio. That's not all. The company is now focusing on international markets, adds that it wants to see 30 to 40% of business coming in from international markets.
And before we go, let's bring you some of the key market events to watch out for tomorrow. Gaurav is joining in.
Yes, from the global front, we are waiting for UK CPI data for the June month. They will come up with their CPI data. That is important. And other than that, on the India's front, it is important thing about the bilateral talks with USA. Now, Commerce Ministry's team has reached Washington. And another update here is that Chief Negotiator Mr. Rajesh Agrawal will join the team tomorrow. And that is something that we are watchful about. Other than that, SBI is going to be in focus because there is going to be a board meeting where they will consider fundraising. Now, let's not forget forget that they have already taken an approval for QIP worth 25,000 crore rupees. Ashok Leyland is also going to be in focus tomorrow because record date is set on tomorrow for the stock bonus, which is in the ratio of 1:1. And lastly, there are a few companies which will be on radar on the back of their earnings. So we have got Tech Mahindra, LTTS, Angel One, who will come up with the numbers. And other than that, we also have ITC Hotels, Orient Hotels and Exigo. So all these companies will be on our radar on the back of the numbers that they will report for Q1.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much for that, Gaurav. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be back with more news and updates.